Do you remember your room numbers?
In 𝗘𝗽𝗶𝗀, I remember my first year room number for sure. It was 183.
What was your survival strategy for the exams?
So one survival strategy was before the compre, I used to go to the library and study.
Please remember what is the incident, what was the occasion and how it was.
So it's like a quick fire.
It's like
test,
a quick fire or a
sure.
quiz to you.
I will
You are a quizzer, no?
Yes, so this I remember very well. This is immediately after a quiz that was conducted, and the person here is Professor 𝗘𝗽𝗶𝗃. Yeah.
Okay. Now, Harish, let us move to... from BITS, you moved to IIM Ahmedabad, right? And of course, you had something in between also, but you moved to IIM Ahmedabad. How was it without all of us there?
IIM Ahmedabad, Ranjan, was a very different environment from BITS Pilani. Firstly, I think in BITS Pilani, friendships formed over 4 years, 5 years of time. IIM Ahmedabad was just 2 years.
Correct.
So the ability to form such deep friendships, I think, was much more in BITS Pilani than at IIM Ahmedabad. The second thing is, IIMs by their nature, even today, but certainly in those days as well, I think were very, very competitive campuses. There was a huge amount of competition because obviously people were looking at, what jobs can I get at the end of the second year, or what can I do? So I think I found the environment far more competitive than BITS Pilani. BITS Pilani was a very relaxed, happy, free-for-all environment. Free-go-lucky environment, and IIM Ahmedabad changed that. So that was another big difference which was there. The third difference between the two campuses was, I think BITS Pilani had lot of other activities which happened day by day. In IIM Ahmedabad also there were some activities, but I think there was a far more academic focus. The focus on academics was far higher. The pressure of academics, case studies, I think IIM Ahmedabad purposely does that. It helps you in later life, but it also leaves less time to engage in everything else that you want to do. So I really did not do the amount of English language activities or quizzing, or I did some of it, but not so much. That was a third. Of course, I think I missed all of you. Even though one of my wingmates, Harshit, came to IIM Ahmedabad with me, but he was in a different hostel at IIM Ahmedabad. IIM Ahmedabad, I think, taught me how to face pressure. It was intense pressure, and there were many subjects that I took a long time to get the hang of, like accounting or finance or supply chain management. And it was a constant series of quizzes and tests and surprise tests and so forth. And also I think the peer pressure in that environment was much higher than I encountered in BITS Pilani. But it definitely taught me how to face that pressure. And at IIM Ahmedabad, you also suddenly met people from different disciplines. There were chartered accountants there. There were people who came from, science backgrounds, commerce backgrounds. So suddenly there was a diverse meeting of minds there, which I think also brings out the best in you, just like you would have found in your college as well.
Okay, no, this is what. And but it is a different environment altogether, because I think for me, we entered BITS as adolescents at age of 16, 17. Yeah. When we enter the management institutes, at least we have something already built
so
up.
BITS Pilani, Ranjan, to me was a crucible of life. We went there as boys, and we came out as young adults. And I think that transformation, I'm sure it's true for everyone watching this show in your respective colleges, but for you and me, BITS Pilani was very special. It enabled us to make that leap from being young, inexperienced boys to being young adults, being independent, being a little more confident of ourselves, ability to live alone, ability to work alone, ability to, the fear of failure got reduced dramatically. So all that happened in BITS Pilani. So I think BITS Pilani truly is a crucible of life.
Thank you.
And it's also a campus which was in the midst of nowhere, in the midst of a desert. The largest city was a couple of hours away. So you had to really thrive in that ecosystem.
I would have, before you start your career into corporate, what really prompted you to have this in between IIM Ahmedabad tenure? What exactly prompted you? You have told certain things, but what exactly prompted you?
So I think, Ranjan, coming out of 𝗣𝗲𝗰, there were 2 or 3 options that one could consider. One could consider going overseas to do an MS kind of education. But I don't think my heart was set on becoming a technologist. I saw myself, even during 𝗣𝗲𝗰, towards my final couple of years as president of the Students' Union, I found that I enjoyed working with people. I found that I enjoyed the art of coordination and managing things together. So I said that I am far more suited to a career as a manager than I am suited to a career as a technologist. That was the choice that I made. I could have made a different choice at that point in time, but using whatever judgment I had at the age of 21 or 22 years, I made that choice. And I think in retrospect, it was the right choice to make. And I knew that if I had to go into a career as a manager, then having an MBA degree, or more specifically, knowing things that I should know, finance, accounts, supply chain, information management and knowledge management, marketing and sales, which I had not learnt at 𝗣𝗲𝗰. Picking up some of these fundamentals would be very important. So I think that is what motivated me to do an MBA. So I had a couple of job offers before I went for my MBA, but I said, let's take 2 more years in our stride and do an MBA and learn some of these fundamentals. So that's what made me invest 2 years in IIM Ahmedabad. It's a lovely campus, wonderful faculty, wonderful hostels, very fine student community drawn from the best in the country. And like I told you, I learned that there was much more in the world of business and management. I learned to deal with intense pressure. I think the textbooks of economics, the textbooks of marketing opened my mind in new ways. And when I left IIM Ahmedabad, I left knowing that I now had the essential tools which were required to help me become a good manager in the future. So that's what motivated me.
What attracted you to marketing and branding? I think you made a decisions during that period.
So I actually, when I joined the Tata Group, I joined the Tata Group in 1987 after an interview at Ahmedabad itself.
Okay.
And the reason I joined the Tata Group was I had heard many people say that Tatas are a good place to work in. They have good values, they treat people well. So I didn't know much more. I didn't know anyone in the Tata Group at that time, but some seniors had told me this. Some professors had also told me this. And I had, of course, heard of Tata as a brand everywhere. We had heard a bit about J.R.D. Tata as well. So that's the reason that I joined the Tata Group. I did not know at that time that I want to become a consumer marketer and only do marketing in my life. My first role in the Tata Group was actually as an executive assistant to Mr. 𝗘𝗽𝗶𝗀𝗃, who at that time was the joint managing director of Tata Tea. This is after the first year of training and projects. And it was only 2 or 3 years later that I actually took up my first sales and marketing stint. So as an executive assistant, I got an overview of what the company does. I've always been interested in consumer behavior. Even in IIM Ahmedabad in my second year, I did electives in marketing and consumer behavior. So at the end of 3 or 4 years of working as an executive assistant, handling projects for the MD's office, then for a year and a half, I was working as a project manager in the office of Mr. 𝗘𝗽𝗶𝗀𝗃, who was the chairman of Tata Tea and Tata Chemicals. So here I saw various parts of the organization, and some of the projects that I did were in sales and marketing.
Okay.
So through those projects, I think I started liking sales and marketing even more. I joined the Tata Group in 1987 when I was 25 years of age. I think it was around 29 or 30, when I was more or less clear in my mind that I want to make a career in sales and marketing. And why sales and marketing? Because I liked consumer behavior and psychology. Because I liked the creativity associated with marketing. Whether it is packaging design, whether it's advertising and communication, whether it is formulating a brand proposition, there's a lot of creative thinking involved, and that creative thinking appealed to me. I like the fact that sales is a lot of working with people, going into the field, understanding distributors, understanding stockists, working with people, and I love working with people. I like the fact that marketing and sales requires you to talk a lot. I like talking a lot. So all these reasons together, I think, attracted me to sales and marketing as a discipline. And then over the next 20 years, I built roots in sales and marketing. And I think those were some of the, the Tata Group gave me enormous opportunity to build initially brands like Chakra Gold Tea and Gemini Tea. Then I was head of marketing for Tata Tea. Then working on building brands like Tanishq. Later on, Titan, Fast Track, Sonata, and eventually being brand custodian of the Tata brand, which is India's most valuable brand. So these are all, I think, opportunities of a lifetime. And it is wonderful to, today see that the brands that I was working on 25 years back are still doing very well and have grown from strength to strength. That gives you enormous satisfaction, because then you say, okay, some of the things I have done must have worked fairly well if that brand has not lost its way after so many years.
Great. Talks about marketing. My younger son will be very happy to hear that, because he is into marketing as well.
Oh, wonderful.
So he will be very happy.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just want to ask you two questions on that. When you entered the corporate world, what surprised you the most? And the second question, during this earlier journey, you told up to 29 years and 30 years, when did you suddenly realize that you are no more a manager, you are now a leader?
So what surprised me the most, Ranjan, I had the invaluable opportunity of, in the early years of my career, when I had just joined, working with extraordinary leaders like Mr. 𝗘𝗽𝗶𝗀𝗃 and Mr. 𝗘𝗃𝗃. And two things stood out in the way they functioned. One, they were very hard taskmasters. So, I thought I have come out of 𝗘𝗽𝗶𝗀𝗃, I am Ahmedabad, and I could prepare a note very well, or I could, argue a case very well. But I remember being thrown out of Mr. 𝗘𝗽𝗃 office several times, saying this is not right. Please go back and rework on it. I need to see something which is better than this. I need to see something which is sharper, which argues the point far sharper. And he was very tough. And that told you that the standards that people like him are trying to achieve are very, very high in what he is doing. That was one aspect. But what was also equally surprising for me was that a very tough boss like him was also, on the other hand, very genuine and kind and generous. And there is a story here that I want to narrate. I was his executive assistant from 1988 to maybe 1991 or 1992. And in 1992, I got married. And my marriage with Veena was in our native place, Mangalore. And Mangalore and Mr. 𝗘𝗃𝗃 used to be working in the head office of Tata Tea in Kolkata. And as managing director of the company, obviously he had a very stretched calendar, full of meetings, full of activity and commitments. So we went to Mangalore for my wedding. Of course, I had gone and invited him for the wedding. But in my own mind, the possibility of his attending the wedding was very, very minimal, because he is the managing director of a company, I am a deputy manager, and there must be, so many things that he has to address as commitments. So I went to Mangalore. It was our wedding was on the 24th of May, and 23rd of May there was a preliminary function. And 24th morning, when I go into the wedding hall, there is a call that is received in my uncle's house to say, listen, Mr. 𝗘𝗃𝗃 has come to Mangalore to attend Harish's wedding.
Wow.
And then we see him walking into the hall along with his wife. Mm-hmm. He comes in the traditional South Indian dhoti, and his wife, Mrs. Ratna 𝗘𝗃𝗃, is with him. He attends the wedding, has the wedding lunch, and then leaves. So for him to come all the way from Kolkata to Mangalore, there was not even a direct flight.
Absolutely.
You have to come via Bombay or Bangalore or some other route. It would have been at least 1.5 to 2 days of his time to come to Mangalore, stay there overnight, attend the wedding and go back. Yet I think he had the kindness and the generosity to do that. And I may actually forget, what targets I met in Tata Tea every year, whether I met targets or not. I may forget what bonuses I got, but I will never forget the fact that he came and attended our wedding. And he used to do this with so many people who worked with him. Mm-hmm. So I understood that it is not just being tough on work, it is also about being caring to people, being kind to people, being generous to people. And I understood that the best leaders need to have a very sharp focus on excellence and doing work which is world class, which is why he threw me out of his office several times if he didn't like the standards of work that I did. But it has to be combined with genuine care, concern, kindness and generosity. And somehow the best leaders bring both these aspects together. If you're only one or only the other, then it doesn't
work. Absolutely.
And that understanding has remained in my mind till today, that you have to push for work which is excellent. At the same time, you have to be genuinely caring of people who are giving their entire lives or days or months to working for the organization. On your second question, when did it strike me that I am not a manager and I need to rise above being a manager to being a leader? It was probably, Ranjan, when I was first asked to head a team. As an executive assistant, I did not have a team of my own. I was a solo player in the MD's office. Initially, as a marketing manager as well, there were just me or maybe me and one more person. But eventually, I think 6 or 7 years into my career, when I was asked to head a sales and marketing team in the packet tea division of Tata Tea, then I suddenly found 12 or 15 people in the team, and I needed to actually inspire those. I needed to give them a sense of direction. I needed to motivate them. I needed to support them. I needed to help them if things went wrong. Sometimes I had to go out of my way to ensure that if there was an error, it was corrected. I had to ensure that all of them saw that they would get credit for things they had done well. I had to ensure that if things went wrong, sometimes you had to protect them, even though you knew things had been messed up, but you still had to protect them. I knew that eventually for them I had to fight with my superiors for whatever. It could be for some facility, a raise, a promotion, whatever it be. But I had to champion their cause with my superiors. And I knew that sometimes I also needed to have tough conversations with them. And, point out if things had not gone right, that, this is the learning for the future. So this was the period between, I think, 1993 to 1996-97. I must have been 30 to 35 years of age. This is the age at which I learned that doing things yourself and leading a team are two very different, the management of day-to-day activity is very different from the ability to emotionally, functionally, with your heart and your mind, lead a team and also motivate them to go beyond delivering their best. It requires a lot of energy. It is all encompassing. You have to just, immerse yourself in that. And whatever others may say, when you're leading a team and when you're a leader of a team, you can talk everything you want to about work-life balance, but in your mind it is a 24/7 job. This is my learning over the years. Because if there is a problem in office, you can't say that at 8 o'clock at night I will switch off the problem. How do you switch off the problem? The problem is still there. It needs to be addressed. You may temporarily shelve it from your mind, or if there's an issue late at night with the distributor or with the store, you need to address it. So I believe that when you're a leader of a team, drawing very strict compartments between work and life is very challenging. You have to integrate work and life. Some days you have to spend more on life and some days more on work. Eventually work and life kind of merge together. And you have to make sure that you fluidly balance the two, rather than saying, I'll work so many hours a day or I won't work so many hours a day.
I remember one thing. I'll just take a cue out of this. I'll remember one thing. Once I met Sheryl Sandberg in US. I met her, CEO of Facebook. She was
Who wrote Lean In.
Yeah. So I was just asking about this work-life balance, and then she told very nice things. She told, Anjan, you have a choice. Either you love the job that you do, or you do the job that you love. The second one doesn't become possible every time. So rather, you please go by the first one and align work and life accordingly.
That is true. That's true, Ranjan, because there are days when you have to give 24 hours to the job. And there are days when you can relax.
Yes.
And spend far more time with the other things that you love. You can spend far more time with the family. If you choose to become a leader in the corporate world, and that's a choice. Absolutely. You can choose not to become a leader.
Yes.
If you choose to become a leader in the corporate world, or I would presume a leader in any other field,
yes,
then you have to devote as much time to it as the role requires. And you have to find ways to integrate work and life together, and you have to find time to do other things over weekends or over or you have to make time for it. Or you have to make time
create
for
your
it.
own.
Yeah, you have to create
Very
your
good.
own time.
Any early setbacks or any time you think you almost failed, and did that particular failure transform you as a leader?
Yeah. So there were setbacks. We launched, I still remember in the very early days of my marketing career, I am now talking of the early 1990s, we launched a brand of tea called 𝗘𝗶𝗀, which was 100% Assam tea.
Okay.
We came from a product first point of view that we'll provide 100% Assam tea. We didn't really base that brand on very sharp or deep consumer insight, and we tried our best, but in about 2 to 3 years we found that that brand was not working very well, and we had to actually withdraw the brand after some time, and that led to a lot of soul searching on my part. What did we do wrong? What can we learn for the future? But I must say I learned from that setback that a brand has to be based on sharp consumer insight. A brand has to be differentiated from the competition. It cannot be similar to what the competition is offering.
Absolutely.
You need to have some strategic advantage which enables you to give the consumer a better experience or a better product or better service if the consumer has to perceive your brand as much better. I learned that a consumer in point of view is much better than a product out point of view. So I used many of those learnings for the other brands that I built very successfully. After that, Chakra Gold Tea or Gemini Tea or Tanishq are brands that I helped build very successfully. I think the learnings from this first failure came in very useful, and I am happy that failure happened very early on in my career because it taught me a few things that I learned perhaps the hard way.
This is also something in one of my podcasts also I have talked about it, and I always feel that a success is not a success if it cannot be repeated forever, and a failure is not a failure if you have learned from it and moved ahead. And if it is repeated, if it is not happening
that's
again.
That's a very good way of articulating it. That a failure is not a failure if you have learned from it and if you have
moved ahead, and you have never repeated it. You have not. Success has to be repeated every time. Failure, if it comes again, then it becomes a failure. If it comes for the once time, you told the example of 𝗘𝗶𝗀 case. If you would have still failed again similar ways, then it would have been a failure. Otherwise, it's not a failure, it's a learning.
That is true. It is a learning, but to me, Ranjan, one of the stupidest things that a leader can do is to repeat errors.
Exactly. That's what. Then only it becomes a failure. Otherwise, it's a learning.
And that requires us, I think, at the end of any large project or at the end of any large initiative, it requires us to have a very objective and critical view. The overall project may have succeeded, but still some things that we did may not have been the right things to do. So if one needs to take a very critical view, self-critical view at the end of it to say, what are our learnings from this and how can we ensure that these errors are not repeated in the future? I therefore feel that the best leaders are perennially restless for improvement. They are always self-critical. They appreciate their teams hugely when things go right, but in addition to that appreciation, they also push for learnings from everything that they do, whether it is successful or not successful. What are the learnings that you can pick up from here and run into the future with? I think that is essential if you want to be world class in what you do.
Absolutely. How do you have seen leaders? Your mentors and you yourself is a great leader. How does a leader build trust in this skeptical world?
I think that's very critical, Ranjan. If you don't build trust, you have not earned the right to be a leader.
Exactly.
Okay, if people are always viewing you with suspicion or with skepticism, then you're not a leader. To me, there are 3 elements of building trust that I have learned from some of the extraordinary leaders of the Tata Group whom I have worked with and which I have written about. The first thing which is fundamental to building trust is that if you make a commitment to someone, you have to deliver on that commitment. Meeting a commitment is very important. So if I tell you, Ranjan, I'm going to come in for this podcast, and you come here all the way to record this podcast, and then finally I don't come in for the podcast, your trust in me is going to decrease a little bit.
Right.
Whatever said and
Whatever
done. So our ability to meet commitments and have a 100% say-do ratio is very important. I can understand if people fall unwell, I can understand if there is some personal circumstance which comes in the way, but that cannot be a recurring feature. So I think that's a very, very important part of building trust. The second part of building trust is that I need to be true to my own beliefs and views. I need to have integrity in what I'm saying. And if I believe in something, I should say. If I believe in something, I should do it. Because when people see that you behave in a certain way, and there are certain beliefs that they know that you hold, then they know who you are and they know that you will act in line with those beliefs. Then there is a layer of trust which builds in. And whereas if people see that you are saying one thing and doing another thing, then I don't think, and it may not be a commitment to them, something even in the external world, then I think the level of trust in you will come down. You'll be seen as being hypocritical.
Absolutely.
So that's a second element to building trust. And I think a third element to building trust, Ranjan, is when people are at their most vulnerable. When are people at their most vulnerable? When something has gone wrong. People are at their most vulnerable when there is a huge investment somewhere and it needs to deliver and probably not delivering. When people are at their most people are at their most vulnerable when they are facing a problem either in their professional lives or personal lives. So when they are at their most vulnerable, how do you support them and how do you make sure navigate that vulnerability in a very dignified and easy manner with their dignity intact? I think if you do that, then I think it builds trust. If you don't do it, then your team members virtually feel abandoned. They say, here is a leader, but he is not supporting us when we are going through a tough time. So I think it's a combination of meeting every commitment that you make, a combination of being, integrity and doing what you say you will do, no difference between your thoughts and actions, and it is protecting people and nurturing them when they feel very vulnerable. I think a combination of these three create trust, but all these three have to be very consistent. People watch you over a period of time.
Exactly.
And trust doesn't build in a day. Okay, the trust that you and I have with each other has probably been built over 4 years of staying in Pilani together and all the conversations we have had after that. So it takes time to build trust. If you try to force trust down a person's throat, that trust will not stay. It is only there on paper. So you can't demand trust from people. You have to earn the trust of people. And sometimes it takes a long time to earn the trust of some people. So be it. But I think trust is the strongest currency in the world. And for a leader, earning that trust has to be right on top of the list of priorities. It's between people. A person has to earn trust. A brand has to earn trust. A team has to earn the trust of other teams.
Other people.
So trust is a currency which works across many tangible and intangible
very good, excellent.